One of the first videos I uploaded to my channel was a planter box. After watching tons of videos where DIY planter boxes were being built with cedar pickets, I wanted to build something that was a little more custom and a little more substantial. Today, we take our original design and we upgrade it even further. This thing is big, it is beautiful, and it is built to last. So let's get to it. Let's get this thing started. First thing we're going to do, like always here in the shop, is we're going to get our material cut down to length over here at the miter saw. Then we're going to head over to the table saw with these 2x4 pieces, and we're going to, first off, we're going to rip the rounded edge off of each of these, and then we're going to take that flat edge up against our fence and rip 2.5 by 1.5 pieces from each of these 2x4s. Everything is cut to length. So before we start this assembly, we are going to pull out a tool that we don't use a lot here on the channel. I use it a lot in my shop, but on the channel, because I tend to focus mainly on beginners builds, I don't use my router table all that often because I try to do assemblies of projects that beginners can use, and not all beginners have a router table. If you want to build one, that video is up on my channel, so check it out when we're done here. So right now, here's what we have. We have 8 pieces. These are going to become the horizontal pieces of each of our 4 side panels. There are 8 of these. These are cut to 14 inches long. There are 16 pieces here. These are cut to 23 inches long. And our 4 sides, which are our 2x4s, ripped down to 1.5 by 1.5. These are cut to 24 inches long. The reason I didn't cut these to 24 inches a piece is because I needed 16 of them, and I would like to get all of those pieces out of 4 1x4s. We cut them at 24 inches long each. That last one would be a little short. I just made them all uniform, and you'll see when this assembly process goes together that 1 extra inch that we cut off the bottom is not going to be seen nor relevant, because we are going to trim the bottom of this planter out as well. So everything's going to be hidden. So I just wanted to make sure I got them all the same length, and I got them out of 4 1x4s. So let's head over to the router table, a tool I don't use that often here on the channel, but we're going to put a chamfer on all of these. What we're going to do is we're going to chamfer 3 sides of each of our legs. One side, of course, is going to be on the internal side of the box. It doesn't matter. We're going to chamfer 3 sides each of the legs. We are going to chamfer only one side of our horizontal pieces, because when this is laid out, you are only going to need to see the chamfer here and here. The top is going to be up against one side. The bottom is going to be covered by some trim. And when we cut our panel pieces of the 23-inch ones, there's a fly or a mosquito right in my face. Of course there is right now when I'm filming, but yeah. So if you see me doing this, that's what's going on. Anyway,
What was that?
Mosquito.
Anyway, we want a 45-degree chamfer on inside of these 2 and both sides of these 2. That makes any sense. Basically, when this comes together, we want a V groove cut in between these 3 pieces right here. So let's head over, pull out that router table, and let's get to routing.
So fast.
We're back from the router, and real quick, for those of you who don't know, I'm in Houston. We had a cool front come through yesterday, and I think it's 92 today with like 80% humidity, so we're really, really thankful for the cool front we had yesterday.
And it's 120 degrees out with 200% humidity.
So yeah, I'm sure you can tell, and yeah, it's hot out here. But let's get this thing assembled, and prior to getting everything assembled, I want to show you guys how this is going to lay out. So I'm going to put this together right side up, and then we're going to flip it over so you can see how it's all going to go together. So this is why we chamfered only one edge of these 2 1-bys, excuse me, and we chamfered 2 edges of this. So when this comes together, hopefully you can see on this camera over here, we've got 3 nice V grooves here that are going to give this a little bit better look than if these were just all flat and pressed up against each other. This board, same situation. Our top board and our bottom board for each side panel is only chamfered on one side because the top is going to mount here. You're not going to see this. And then this is going to get trimmed out, so there's no need to chamfer that. Let's flip this over so I can show you guys how this is going to assemble. So we have, this is going to be our setup looking at it from the rear. So basically this is what it's going to look like from the back. We are going to glue and brad all of these to our horizontal pieces, and then our legs are going to get attached to each of these panels. Now we want to attach these legs with pocket holes. So each of our side pieces on all 4 panels are going to need some pocket holes drilled in here. I'm going to do 3 in each side. That's going to keep this tight up against this leg. We want to make sure that because this panel is going here and our other panel will mount here, we want to make sure that our pocket holes are offset so that our screws don't run into each other. So I'm just going to simply mark out 4 of these. I'm going to lay this other board up against it and make sure when I mark out my other 4 pocket holes, they're just offset slightly so that they don't interfere with each other. So let's get these things marked and let's head over to my pocket hole jig and get all these holes drilled. And just make sure you're separating your single side that we beveled from your double side. We want only the single-sided pieces that were beveled only on one side. Those are the ones that we are going to drill our pocket holes in. And make sure that your bit is set up properly. I was about to drill in to these with my pocket hole bit at the wrong depth, and that would not have been good. All right, let's get after it. Assembly time. Let's get after it. So we are going to take one of our edge pieces per panel. Make sure that the chamfer is facing in, and then our 2 other pieces are just going to go in the middle. We can see that our pieces are offset. We need to make sure that the offset here on one panel isn't important. It's when we build the second panel, we need to make sure that we don't have 2 pieces where the holes are lined up. Hopefully that made some sense. We're going to get this assembled. Just make sure, because we are working upside down, that you are aware of where your chamfer is. Your chamfer is going to go to the inside of each panel. We're going to put one of these horizontal pieces at the top and one at the bottom. Now, remember, we cut our legs 24 inches long. We cut our panel pieces, how long?
Anyone?
23 inches. So we are going to, when we assemble this, the top is going to go flush with this horizontal 1x4. The bottom, we are going to raise this up an inch. We want these 2 pieces 24 inches apart. So glue, 1-inch brad nails. We're going to go ahead and build all 4 panels. Once those are built, then we can start the assembly process on our legs. And I'm sorry I got distracted because I just realized I had this laid out this way. Pocket holes going in. Don't do that. Pocket holes are going out. Remember, they're going to attach to these legs like this. So Glue, Brad, let's get this assembly going. This is what each panel is going to look like. Now, the reason that I chamfered the edge of this top and bottom board is because when we put our side pieces on, we want to carry that. Let me turn this way so you guys can see. We want to carry that V groove into this particular portion of this planter as well. If we didn't chamfer this, we would have a squared off edge up against a 45 and it just wouldn't look good. So we are going to start doing some pocket hole assembly now. All we want to do here is we want to run a bead of glue down here. We're going to drive our 3 pocket hole screws in, but what I am going to do is I'm going to make sure that I clamp this together. All right, we will be using blue pocket hole screws. Blue ones are coated, designed for outdoor use. Silver ones are going to rust, corrode. You're not going to be happy. They're going to streak up your stuff. Let's use the blue ones. Just like we're using Titebond 3, let's use the right product for the right application. All right, 3 pocket holes in this side. Again, let's make sure we get all of our glue out of here. We are staining this particular planter, so we don't want any glue left in here. And then let's get this other leg put on. Oh, and also remember, we chamfered 3 edges of this. Let's make sure that the unchamfered end is inside so as not to be seen. One panel assembled. Let's get another one just like this, and then we will connect the 2 panels with the remaining 2 pieces. I'm going to do all this really, really quick. Fast forwarded. Listen to some music. Let's go.
Let's rock.
All 4 panels are done. What we are going to do now is the 2 panels that have the legs already assembled to them are just going to get stood up on either side of this. And then we are going to clamp this together to make sure that we are nice and secure and tight in our joints. We want to make sure this top is lined up. Put some glue down either side of this leg, clamp this together, drive in 3 pocket hole screws on either side, flip this over, repeat that process. Let's get after it.
Let's just chill.
Okay, the box is done. Now, let's look at the bottom of this thing. So the way this is built, we have this channel here now. This is going to be the perfect place for us to put some 1x4 along the bottom. It's going to hold our soil in place. Didn't cut those at the beginning because I wasn't quite sure the exact inner dimensions of this. Big box store material, as we all know, is infamous for being a little bit off sometimes. So I would rather have just built the box, measure this out. I'm at 15 and a half at the top, 15 and a half spot on at the bottom. So I'm going to cut myself 4 pieces to go along the bottom, 15 and a half inches long. I'll be right back.
That was fast.
All right, I've got this turned around backwards because, well, I got to square my box up a little bit with the clamp. It's a little bit off. Once I put these bottom pieces in, I could actually see it was off about 2 degrees. So I just pulled it square with this clamp. I'm going to put these bottom screws in, 2 in each board. I am going to countersink and then put some screws through here. All right, bottom is on. Box is built. Time to take some measurements for our top. Same thing at the bottom. I did not, and yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. I am freaking burning up today.
You're so sweaty.
And for those of you guys who have made comments in my previous videos where you've said, you know, be careful out in the shop, I am very careful. I always take breaks. A lot of times in between shots, you guys don't see me. I go inside and cool down before I come back out. I stay very hydrated, and I'm used to it. I've lived here all my life, so it is what it is. So we're going to take some measurements for our inside. Let me flip this over so you can see where we're going to measure. So I'm going to measure corner to corner, and then I'm going to subtract an inch from that because I do want my 1x4 that's going on the top to also inset just a little bit. So whatever this measurement is, we're just going to take 1 inch off of that, and that is going to be where our 2 short ends of our miters are going to be. So grab a tape measure, see what we're at. I got pretty much right on 14 on that end, 14 on that end. So we're going to cut everything to 13 inches from our 2 short ends of our miter. So let's head over. We're going to use our 45-degree miter sled that I built a couple months back. So I think this is the first time you guys will actually get to see us use that here on the channel. So let's head over to the table saw and get this top cut, and this build is done. We're almost done, and God, am I glad. I did not sweat this much today when I went to the gym and sat in the sauna for 20 minutes. So, Lord. And it's the humidity, right? Isn't that what they always say? It's not the heat, it's the humidity. It's both here in Houston. So, I think we've done this before when we've built a planter. I'm going to put my top together here on the workbench. Once this is together, it's easier to center it and tack it down on the planter itself. I wish you guys could see this. I'm going to show you the best I can over on this camera angle over here, hopefully. If you guys don't have a sled like I just used, you should probably build yourself one. And hey, guess what? There's a video on my playlist for shop builds. But seriously, it does give you extremely tight, extremely precise 90-degree joints. It's going to allow me to glue this thing up here on the workbench. CA glue is going to hold it together just fine while we bring it down here, glue it, and tack it onto our planter. So for those of you who don't know, CA glue goes on one side. You're going to spray the other side with activator. We're going to hold that joint together for 4 or 5 seconds, and it's pretty solid. So we're going to get this started. CA glue, activator, and some pressure. Make sure you are lined up extremely tight because this stuff will not come apart once it goes together. And it can get stuck to your workbench if you over saturate your stuff with glue like I just did. Hopefully this will come off pretty easy. There we go. And let's just repeat that for the last 3 connections. And it sucks when it gets on your fingers, just for the record. All right, as you can see, this is nice and sturdy. Now we can take this over to our planter, center it, glue, and tack this thing in place, and this planter box is done. All right, well, I just moved it up here. Hopefully like you can see what's going on. I think you'll be able to just see just fine. We are going to put a nice bead of glue on the top. This thing is going to get held in place with some 1 1/4 inch brads. When the glue dries, like I always tell you guys, the glue is going to hold this in place. And as you can see, my method for centering this is extremely precise. I'm going to just kind of feel along the inside, look down my edges, make sure that they are as straight as possible. We're going to tack this thing in place. Let me grab the right size brads. We're done. Thank God. Big, beautiful, heavy duty planter. This is for someone. I'm going to sand on this. I'm going to pre-stain this with a pre-stain conditioner because this is pine. We want our stain to be as smooth and as pretty as possible. So we're going to stain, sand, then we're going to stain. Then we're going to follow that up with 2 coats of matte finish polyurethane. This is going to be outside on a patio. Of course, we want it to last as long as possible. If you guys build one of these, or if you have been on my channel and you've built anything that we've built, especially the beginners series builds, please send them to me on my social media at Newcraft Workshop on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, as well as the website listed right there on your screen. As always, guys, we appreciate you spending a little bit of your day watching our channel, and we'll catch you guys on YouTube.